Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. Tonight's game between the Browns and the 49ers is a big one as far as Cleveland is concerned. Coming in at 2-2 after Baltimore went to 3-2 yesterday, the Browns could be in a danger zone. After tonight, they've got Seattle, then New England before the schedule gets any easier. I can see them at 2-5 after those games just as easily as I can see 5-2. The fan base could get nervous with a loss tonight, and rightfully so if that latter happens. Freddie Kitchens says the Browns are playing one play at a time, which is good coach speak, but if they don't get a win or two before New England, that bye week may not be so relaxing. A win tonight at San Francisco could change all that. We've got Jim Ingram here tonight. More Sports and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Monday night, it's a brand new week. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into its 24th consecutive year. Seen exclusively on Cleveland.com. Jim Ingram is here tonight. We'll talk whatever's on your mind at 216-575-0403. Aren't you tired of these Monday night games involving the Browns where you have to switch your whole schedule around? We didn't know this existed for 20 years.
Yeah, what happened to the good old-fashioned 1 o'clock games?
On Sunday.
On Sunday, yeah. It's different, that's for sure. You know, the one thing about the Browns I'm finding this year is, remember those last, 20 or 30 years where they were unwatchable, those games? Now, whether they win or lose, they're very watchable because it's either...
Something's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's either going to be really good or it's going to be maybe really bad, and either way, it's going to result in a lot of talking.
So I had a friend who goes in to a friend's house to watch the Browns play.
Yeah.
Well, his wife didn't know they had a bye, that they didn't have a game, so he just said, "Yeah, well, I'm going to watch the Browns game." I don't know if he ever showed up coming home or not. I hope he did.
Yeah.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. All right, so who did you root for yesterday, Baltimore or Pittsburgh? It was a tough call because nobody can root for Pittsburgh.
That's true, but I was.
Me too.
And I'll bet you the Browns were kind of too because I don't think they're as good as Baltimore. And, the Browns have 2 games left with Pittsburgh and 1 with Baltimore. So that entered into it. But, yeah, that was like a litmus test for a Browns fan. Which team, the 2 most hated teams in Cleveland, who do you
Yeah, and
root
usually you just see the scoreboard and see the score, but this one you could actually watch it.
Yeah.
And what an injury what an ugly injury, and it about Mason Rudolph, and you just sometimes forget how violent the game is.
Yeah, and you know how when you watch the game, and when you watch that play, as soon as he let go, the camera goes away from him.
Right.
But you could tell that there was a big hit coming.
Exactly.
And
all right, here's what happened yesterday in the AFC North. The recap: the Ravens win in overtime. Justin Tucker with the field goal, 26-23. By the way, 2 or 3 years ago they shortened the overtime period, and it's almost an extra possession for each team that they've taken away.
They shortened the overtime?
Yeah, it's 12 minutes now instead of 15.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mason Rudolph leaves the game in the third quarter with a concussion. Lamar Jackson, 3 interceptions. Are people getting onto him?
Or is he not getting developed as quickly as he should?
Both of those are good questions.
Yeah. I actually think he looks better than he looked in that last game of last year against the Browns, where he just looked like a running back, running around throwing the ball.
It looks like he has an idea, but
he does.
The throw is not good enough. All right, the Bengals continue to be winless. They lose to the Cardinals 26-23, same score as the Baltimore game. Zane Gonzalez, the former Cleveland Brown, hits a 31-yard field goal as time expired. Kyler Murray, 20 of 32, and 253 yards, 10 carries, 93 yards, and 1 touchdown. If he carries 10 times a game, he's not going to last very long.
Yeah, that's probably true. It's funny when a marquee player like that goes to a team like Arizona, it's like he's in another league. Like, we'll never see him probably all year.
Right. Yeah, that was like Who was it who said, I'm going to send you to, was that Adam Gase? I'm going to send you to Cleveland and you'll never hear from you again?
Yeah, or the Giants, allegedly, from Odell said that they sent him here to die.
All right, so here's the standings. Baltimore now with a 3-2 record, and the Browns a half game behind, although if they win, they'll be tied in the standings, although they'll have the edge because of the win over Baltimore. Pittsburgh now, isn't that nice to see, though, 1-4?
Yes, it is.
2 games behind Cincinnati. Isn't that nice to see, 0-5?
Yeah. Is it too early to talk magic number?
Yeah, I believe it is. So there's the AFC North recap. And the Browns, of course, will take on the 49ers tonight. When you look at the 49ers, they're 3-0. They just had a bye week. But it appears, although wins are hard to come by against anybody, it doesn't look like they played anybody.
That's what I've heard. You know, I was trying to think the last time I actually watched a 49ers game.
Y.A. Tittle.
Probably. Well, at least Joe Montana back, 20 years ago, whatever it was. Because, they're not on. If you're not a really good team, we don't see any of the West Coast teams.
Jerry Rice, I heard, was pretty good at one time.
Yeah, that too. And, who's even the coach of the 49ers now? Is it
Kyle Shanahan.
Kyle Shanahan, okay.
After that 14-page
that's right,
presentation to get out.
Abdicated his
He abdicated
throne.
his throne, no question about that. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Before we take a break and come back, I just want your observations on the postseason baseball that's going on right now.
Well, first
Tampa
of all,
Bay wins today.
Tampa Bay wins today. And they've got one of the scrappiest teams I've seen in a long time, and they're not going to beat Houston, but coming down the stretch, they never lost, it seemed like. The Indians were trying to catch them, and they just were winning all the time. The Yankee Twins games are, to me, unwatchable because it's just and actually a lot of these games are tough to watch because it's just home run derby now.
Right.
It's like how the NBA is just nothing but a 3-point shooting contest. Major League Baseball now is nothing but a home run hitting contest.
And you would not think that the Minnesota Twins would be a home run hitting team, either because they don't spend the kind of money that you would think would garner you a slugger, but they had a great season. But they almost look like, when you see them on the field against the Yankees, it looks like it's a different league also.
Yeah, but I mean, they hit on everybody they signed this year. Just about everyone had a good year, and
no injuries.
And they, more than any other team probably, they just literally try to hit a home run every time they swing the bat.
Right.
And frequently they do.
Well, they got Rocco Baldelli as the manager, so he's thinking the new way. Ron Gardenhire would have never done that.
No, and maybe they wouldn't be who they are if. I mean, that team is built by analytics guys, so that reflects the game today. You try to hit as many home runs as you can. And you don't worry about.
Would they have gotten started with that approach earlier if they didn't have to pay Joe Mauer so much and keep other guys away? Because of the amount of money of his contract.
A little bit to do with it, though. They did make the playoffs a few times with Mauer too, so he wasn't. It was a lot like he was a albatross in the lineup.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Jim Ingram is with us. Did you know that there's over $6.25 million paid out on Ohio Lottery pick games each and every week? With that amount of winning, stop by your local retailer, try your luck. Pick 3, pick 4, or pick 5. You can also follow us on Facebook. Facebook.com/More Sports and Les Levine with new content posted each and every day. When we come back, we'll see how the Browns match up against the 49ers. That game coming up not too long from now. And More Sports and Les Levine with Jim Ingram, seen exclusively on Cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downton Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then, watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downton Casino.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
They got a lot of good players. They got a good scheme. I mean, they mix it up a ton with a lot of the stuff they do. They can, with all the RPOs and things like that, and they got a lot of receivers and backs who you get the ball in their hand and they can take it the distance. So it's a challenge.
Will you have to use some specialty coverages to help Mosley against Beckham, or do you trust him to execute your base defenses?
We trust him a lot. I mean, I'm excited to see E-Man play. He's done a good job every time he's got in there. I know he'll be up to the challenge this week, going against one of the better receivers in the league in Odell and one of the better receivers in the league in Jarvis. So it obviously will be a challenge for him. It'll be a challenge for Sherm also. It's a challenge for everyone in this league. So we'll see. They're two of the better receivers in the NFL. They have different styles, but the result's the same in terms of being at the top of their game. Odell's a freak and the way he can move and his hands, and people do not get how tough and good of a football player Odell is also. He is physical and competes his tail off in the run game and the pass game. And Jarvis, I think everyone knows how physical Jarvis is. He's a man out there, and he gets after guys and has hands that as good as anyone's, and can make plays after the catch. So they're two of my favorite.
You like watching them on film?
Yeah, they're fun to watch, but not this week.
There you have it. This segment of More Sports and Less Levine brought to you by Northeast Factory Direct. Wouldn't you just like to see one time a coach say, we've been waiting for this game since we saw it on the schedule. They got nobody who can play.
Yeah,
right?
I may not even have to show up.
Yeah.
We probably can win without
I just have to show. I don't have to do anything, and I'll out-coach their guy.
Yeah. It's like when you never hear a team say the surgery went horribly.
No. We'd like to announce that so-and-so just had a bad, unsuccessful knee surgery.
We're going to have to do it again in a couple of weeks.
Right.
It was so bad, and everything got messed up.
It happens. Let's check out how the Browns match up with the 49ers stat-wise. Let's take a look at the offense first. There you have it. Cleveland scoring 22.3 points a game. Look at San Francisco, 32. Pass attempts per game, 35 for Cleveland, 28 for San Francisco, 265 yards passing yardage to 246. Rush attempts per game, 23.5 versus 38. Look at that. They got three different running backs who run the ball equally, and they gain 175 yards a game. Cleveland, even with the 165 last week from Nick Chubb, with 115 per game. And sacks, 12 for 151 yards, and 2 for 86. That's right, only 2 sacks. Is that possible?
Is that San Francisco's been sacked twice, or they have sacked the other team twice?
It's an excellent question. They've been sacked twice.
Okay.
That's hard to believe.
Yeah.
I believe my guy's telling me that. It's just it's an interesting stat. All right, here you go with the defensive numbers. Cleveland allowing 22.8 points a game, 18 for San Francisco. Passing yardage, 215 to 208. And again, this is defensively. Third down conversions, 29% given up by the Browns, 41.5% by San Francisco, and each with 7 turnovers per game. I think it's pretty simple. There's no edge, and they have the same amount of turnovers, but they obviously have good records as a result. 2-2 for Cleveland and 3-0 for the 49ers. Is turnovers the biggest to you? Is that the biggest stat as far as winning games are concerned?
Yeah, I would say so. I don't know what the percentage is, but if you win the turnover battle, I'll bet you the team that does that probably wins 90% of their games.
Yeah, those are made up numbers, but they sound about right.
Yeah, they're extra possessions that you don't, so it gives you another chance to score than you otherwise would have gotten.
Now think about this along those same lines. When Cleveland in the first game, when they had 18 penalties, some for 5 yards, some for 15 yards, or 10 yards, depending on the penalty. Imagine almost 200 yards there. That's more than you can get on a good rushing day.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's more than
Like
a
we're going to
football
hand
field.
we're going to hand you 200 free yards here.
Yeah, yeah. It's tough to win that way.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that's the biggest thing that fortunately it seems like they've backed off on the penalties, which is a big reason why they're
Right.
playing better. But yeah, those first couple of games were hideous with penalties.
I was on 92.3 The Fan today, and we were talking about the game, obviously, tonight. And it just seems to me that if you can just time of possession is something that doesn't get enough credit. Time of possession will help you out also.
Yeah, because especially
You're moving yardage.
yeah, like that game last night, the Colts and the Chiefs. The Colts had a way more time of possession than the Chiefs did, and you're keeping the ball away from the best quarterback in the
Right.
league. So
Well, he didn't look like the best quarterback
No,
in
he
the league
didn't.
last
And
night.
he had a bad ankle for a part of the game. But yeah, I mean, anytime you can keep the ball, that means the other team doesn't have it, and it's tough to score when you don't have the ball. So
I was thinking, how the Miami Dolphins of 1972, the remaining players, as soon as the last team has lost a game and they
Yeah.
drink champagne. I'm just wondering if the Miami Dolphins of this year, if they win a game to the Browns of 2 years ago, do they celebrate the same way?
well, they should probably, right? Maybe Hugh Jackson has
Right.
a glass of wine or
They'll
something.
call it the Hugh Jackson battle.
Yeah.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. You have you want to pick a winner tonight?
Tonight, I got a good feeling about the Browns, so I'll say I'll say 28-14.
28, doubling up the score on the road. Yeah, I think that 3-0 is a phony record, only because of who they played.
Yeah, and I think the Browns defense is really playing better
Right.
every game, it seems like. And
Do you believe that football teams should have a model or a style of play? In other words, for them to win certain games, do they have to play a certain way, or does it depend on who the opponent is?
I think it depends a lot on who the opponent is and what they do well and what they don't do so well. And that's the thing about the Browns offense. When they really get this thing going, I mean, they can be dangerous in a lot of ways.
It almost doesn't matter.
Running the ball, throwing the ball, right, yeah. So they got a lot of different ways to score points.
That was our discussion. If you're the defensive coordinator for a team playing the Browns, and you can shut down one guy, I think the obvious answer is Baker Mayfield. But I don't know where you go from there because, again, you got the running game is so good. A lot of receivers, a lot of things can happen out there.
Yeah. Well, against the Ravens, Beckham didn't have a particularly great
No, he had
game.
two receptions.
Yeah, and they still won by a big margin. So, yeah, that's the most refreshing thing about the team this year is it's not dependent on one guy
Right.
like carrying the offense. There's a bunch of guys that can do that.
The other thing that's pretty impressive is they can lose 3 or 4 defensive backs and say, "Yeah, it's no big deal. We
That's
we got one."
unbelievable to me. I mean, the Rams game they played really well, and half the defense was
Right.
missing, and then they beat the Ravens with 3 of the 4 secondary guys not playing. So,
And although it's not that they tried to pick on him, I don't think.
right. But I mean, it tells you, how good the Browns' depth is now at all positions. It looks like.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at realleslavine@gmail.com. Jim Ingram is with us. So is Northeast Factory Direct. Bottom line is nobody's going to touch their everyday savings or their quality. There's no gimmicks. There's no deceiving blowout sales. 3 great locations, east, west, and now south. And you see them right there, West 140th in Cleveland and Lakeland Boulevard, the old B&B Appliance. That's in Euclid, and the new one is on Freeway Drive in Macedonia. Or go before anywhere else. Go to northeastfactorydirect.com. If you want nice big ticket items and you want to improve your home and you want to pay about half price of what other people are paying, you got to go to Northeast Factory Direct. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. Catch the excitement of live harness racing every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, and now Sunday evening. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, post time is 6 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, 6:40 p.m. Open early every day for simulcast action. And coming up on Saturday, the 12th, $125,000 Courageous Ladies Stakes, all at Northfield Park, where it's free admission, free parking every day. We'll come back in a moment. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on Cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
There was moisture in the basement. It ruined the carpeting. The smell was terrible. We didn't feel safe in our own basement, and that's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get NatureStone installed by the end of October and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's NatureStone.
Oh, gosh. Playing Ohio Lottery Pick 3, I see. What are you going to do? A box bed, a split pairs, or a wheel? Well, old Picky Ricky here is a straight shooter.
Okay.
It razzes my berries when newbies think betting's hard. Straight bets are easy peasy. Just match 3 numbers in order and win the old-fashioned way. This, on the other hand, is not so simple. Oh, gosh. Oh, jeez Louise. Play the Ohio Lottery Pick 3 today.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Let's check out birthdays for today, October 7th. Chuck Klein, Hall of Famer. Will he make it? Jim, will he make it, 1947?
Yeah.
I think he will. Charles Woodson, born on this date. Evan Longoria. Yeah, you know, he goes out to San Francisco. You don't even know he exists anymore.
Yeah, like a lot of guys lately.
Yeah, Olivier Vernon of the Browns and Mookie Betts. Hard to believe that he might not be a Red Sox next year.
Sounds like it's a very good chance that he won't be. Yeah.
Better chance that he won't be?
Yeah. I mean, he's same thing with Lindor, and after next year, or the year after 21.
Let's check out a How Come Quickie. How come when Les had knee surgery, his coworkers sent him a get well card by a vote of 7-6?
Well, it's a majority.
It is a majority. I think in that you need a 3/4 winning margin. 216-575-0403. Let's turn our attention back to baseball for a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Browns and 49ers getting ready to go out in San Francisco. Well, San something. Were you at the press conference the other day? They divided it up. You important people on one, and then we had the media people.
The electronic
media was
yes.
later on.
Yes.
So, first of all, they picked up Kluber's option.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean he's going to be here, though, right?
Not necessarily.
Right. It gives them the.
I would say, if he hadn't been injured last year, I would say that there's a pretty good chance they would trade him this winter. But since his trade value is down because he missed virtually the whole year,
right.
Probably not.
Are you surprised about Kipnis?
No, not at all. I don't think anybody was.
1 to 10, is there 10 being the highest? Is there a chance that nobody else will sign him and the Indians will settle for him?
10 is the
10
best
is the
chance,
highest. Yeah.
I'd give it a 2.
A 2.
Yeah. I mean, I think they've probably got a list of other second/third base candidates if they can find trade for or sign a free agent, a economically priced one. They would probably prefer that, and then if they can't do that, then maybe they would bring Kipnis back on a 1-year.
Do you think anybody would sign him?
Kipnis?
Yeah.
Maybe it's possible. I mean, he showed flashes last year, and maybe a team that can afford to spend more money on a guy like that than most teams would prefer, might give it a shot.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. How do you think the Indians front office felt when they watched Yandy Diaz do what he did the other night? Like they must have felt like every Cleveland Indians fan.
Well, the thing about that trade was because there were 3 teams, and you can rightfully say that trade was Bauers for Yandy Diaz.
Correct.
But they would also say, well, we also got Carlos Santana in that deal too. But Encarnacion left. But the thing that I would wonder about and ask is why couldn't the Indians get Yandy Diaz to hit the ball in the air like
they seem
like
to be
Tampa
able
Bay
to.
did immediately? I mean, he missed a big part of the season with an injuries, but you know, it wasn't like he was hitting weak ground balls. He was hitting rocket ground balls,
and he was hitting rocket line drives too.
Yeah. And the way Francona talked about Diaz in the previous year's end of the season press conference led me to believe, anyway, that they really were going to wanted to give him a chance to play every day because they were intrigued by, you know, the fact that he never strikes out hardly at all, and he hits the ball hard even if it is on the ground. That they could have made something out of him, and boy, he would have looked really good in the lineup with the kind of year he had in Tampa.
What kind of year did Mejia have?
He didn't, not much. I mean, I think he was like the backup catcher out in San Diego.
That's all he was, right?
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah. I don't think he got a lot of at-bats and wasn't the hitter, or hasn't been yet the hitter he was projected to be, and that might be because, you know, that he didn't get a chance to play every day. So, you know, whenever that time comes in, you can more fairly judge that.
Is there a slot for a mid-range kind of a outfielder, a slugging outfielder? I don't even know who I'm thinking of. But
yeah, well, I think we can presume that Puig is gone, so you know there's that.
Well, what kind of money will Puig? He made 9.5 here.
Yeah.
What kind of money is he after? Do you know?
I mean, the last couple of years, those kinds of guys, the market has not been kind to.
Right.
So that he might even be a guy that, strange as it sounds, if he doesn't get what he wants, maybe he would come back on a one-year deal. For
he seemed to enjoy it here, and they liked him.
Yeah. They said they liked having him around, and you know, he did some good things and he did some crazy things.
Maybe they said that knowing he wasn't coming back, so it's a safe thing to say. But we didn't. We heard about the crazy things. We didn't say it. Maybe he was just on his best behavior, looking for the contract.
Well, he did some crazy things, though. I mean,
he threw some strange bases.
He threw some strange bases, and he had this habit of running right over next to Oscar Mercado when he would catch a fly ball.
Just in case it hit his glove and popped
Mercado
out.
was like flinching almost every time a ball went up in the air. And then, of course, the worst of it all was the tapper back to the mound in Minnesota where he just walked right to the dugout.
Oh, come on. He wasn't going to be safe.
No, but I was actually shocked that Francona didn't take him out of the game right there, because that was just a blatant example of a player.
Well, he needed the game.
Quitting on a team in a very important game against your rival, and he just.
You think that's un-Francona-like to do that?
I do,
with
yeah.
The season on the line like that.
And I'm not sure. You know, he's the consummate players manager. Yeah, and I think he was hoping one of the players would say what needed to be said there, and it looked like probably Carlos Santana did do that. But I thought taking him out of the lineup would have sent the right message.
So, if you're the Indians front office, do you just think, well, Detroit and Kansas City don't worry about them. Chicago may be a little better, but it's still going to be a two-team race. Wouldn't you assume that?
Yeah.
And maybe for all the reasons you talked about before, maybe they don't have to improve that much to beat Minnesota.
No, because you have to fairly think that, well, next year can't possibly be as injury-racked as this one is. And if it isn't, I think they still would have won the division comfortably. So I think you can project that same thing to happen, maybe even more so, because these young pitchers they brought up all pitched well. So now the depth of your rotation is really good. And you've got, maybe the best rotation in the league anyway with Kluber back.
And it's 6, 7, 8 deep in some cases.
Yeah.
So as I'm watching the postseason, no team has. There's some better pitchers out there. I mean, Verlander is tremendous, and Washington's got a couple of great ones in their guys, and yet Cleveland's loaded. Now, would they think about packaging them and maybe making a trade? Because everybody needs pitching.
Yeah, I would kind of doubt that, because of that. You need pitching. I mean, the Indians' rotation is really made for the postseason. I mean, if they could have just gotten there this year, even though they would have been a wild card, that was not a pitching staff that you would want to see in the postseason, and it didn't happen. But I would imagine they're thinking, let's just bring the bulk of this team back next year, assume they're going to be much healthier than they were last year, and take our chances.
And then send some guys who pitch really well, send them down to Columbus.
Yeah, because, there will be some injuries, but certainly shouldn't be the tidal wave of them like they were this year. Not just the number of them, but to who the injuries were.
Yeah.
I mean, all the important guys got hurt.
To your point, Scherzer and Strasburg, the way they were used here in the postseason already, you can't keep doing that if they stay alive. But it was an interesting way that they did
you
it.
can do it in the postseason. You can't do it in the regular season.
Yeah.
But think about this: how these playoff games look now. And it was Francona in 2016 who started this trend where
because
you pitch
he had
anybody.
Andrew Miller.
Yeah, he had Andrew Miller, but he was using guys wherever they needed to be used to get through a game, and a lot of teams are doing that, bringing in starters as relievers,
Right.
and so it's changed a lot.
Jim Ingram with us, 216-575-0403. We have the voicemail of Truth and Reason. If you can't be with us when we're done live from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time, you got the voicemail of Truth and Reason, 216-200-6650. Call anytime and leave a message, and we will respond to it on the air. When we come back, the return of Antonio Callaway from the Cleveland Browns. He was activated earlier today. Browns getting ready to take on the San Francisco 49ers. More sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on Cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
it takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
San Francisco's, they're more to what they do, you know, but with the corner being down, I do expect the same thing I've always seen. And if teams are gonna play us like that, we're gonna put up 40. Chubb's gonna rush for 200 yards. I don't know what he rushed for, but we're gonna run the ball. Jarvis it works for us. You know, we're keeping W's on the calendar. Put ourselves in position to work towards the playoffs.
How comfortable are you with 2 catches, but yet you score 40 points and beat a good team?
I mean, we beat a very good team. You know what I mean? So, of course, any receiver in the National Football League, you can ask them. You all know what we want to do. We want to catch touchdowns. We want to catch passes, but just drawing attention over here. I run a hitch, and 2 people jump me, and you hit Ricky right up the seam for 70 yards. If teams are going to focus on that, you know, it'll be a long day for me, but we'll come out with what we need to. So, like I said, it's about putting us in position to get to the playoffs. Stats are only stats, but the memories you have going to the playoffs, winning championships, nothing's gonna ever supersede that for me. So, I just wanna get back to the playoffs. That's really it. You know, I didn't have my best game. And it's something that I still think about to this day. So my only goal is to get there, win the division, and it starts with Baltimore, it starts with Bengals, it starts with the Steelers. So if teams are gonna do that, we'll hang 40, we'll walk out of there with a win, get back to work next week.
So Odell Beckham talking about this week, next week, last week, not concerned about his 2-reception 40-yard day the other day. He was kind of a little bit of a decoy, right?
Yeah, and not even intentionally so. Even when he's not being used as a decoy, he still draws a lot of attention.
Is he what you thought he was going to be when they got him, and the image that you had of him, is that about what it is? Where he's not trouble. He doesn't do anything bad or doesn't do anything wrong. It's just that every week there seems to be something that causes attention to be brought to him.
Yeah, and I think part of that's his personality, and part of it is his history. And I think he enjoys, obviously, the limelight, and there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I think they've just scratched the surface on getting the ball to him. I mean, when they really start, I'm probably not going to focus solely on him, but I would assume he's going to have some monster games in the rest of the season.
Do you think part of that they're just trying to figure out what to do with him is the fact that he missed some of the preseason, didn't play at all, hardly at all in the preseason?
And I keep coming back to the fact that that first offense hardly played it all together until the season started, and I'm not sure that was a real good.
Yeah, game one of the regular season is almost is game 4 of the exhibition.
Yeah, I mean, if this was a group that had been together for 5 years, that's fine. But there's all these disparate pieces come together, and you don't get them out on the field together until the season starts. I think it's still kind of a get acquainted session for them as far as the games go.
This segment of More Sports and Les Levine brought to you by Northeast Factory Direct with 3 great locations in Northeast Ohio. Jim Ingram is with us. He's plenty flamboyant, but when you listen to him, he talks football. He's not too flowery in his descriptions. He's a guy talking football.
Yeah, he's a guy. You can tell that he understands the game and how the things work and everything. And this is his big chance to really make a statement, unlike anyone he's made previously. He goes to a new team, a team that potentially could be a playoff team. This is a lot of prime time exposure for him. So I would think that he's very focused on each game, each week.
When you think about it, you and I were talking about how good it appears that Indianapolis is. So now all of a sudden, and you talk playoffs and trying to get position, you now look at the AFC, and you've got New England, you've got the Chiefs, you've got Indianapolis, you got, who else am I missing? Baltimore, I guess. And the Browns, it's not going to be easy.
No, and it rarely is. I don't. Be interesting if maybe the Browns Browns and Baltimore are both formidable teams, and it's weird to be looking at the top of the standings this time of year instead of ignoring the bottom.
Right. Well, we'll see how much faith they have. Well, faith isn't the word, but I mentioned before that they could just as easily be 2-5 after 7 games as 5-2. You agree with that?
Yeah, probably. Although what I think is going to happen, and for their sake, it better happen, is each week they should get progressively better now. They kind of bottomed out, I think, early in those first 2 games.
Right, and the schedule gets progressively easier.
Yeah, which certainly will help a lot. So, and then I think once this team gets rolling, with all the confidence these individual players have, I think it could really be something exciting to watch. And as you said, the schedule on paper, the last 7 teams are not very good. So, they could have a really strong second half and go into the playoffs with a lot of momentum.
I know we look at this differently because we haven't scoreboard watched or standings watched, but it seems like there's a lot of bad teams out there too.
Yeah, football's starting to creep into the tanking era that some of the other sports are already in. Like, there's a, like in baseball this year, I think there were more 100-win teams and 100-loss teams.
Yeah, but what good does tanking in baseball do? It's not like basketball.
Well, ask the Cubs and Astros who did it and then ended up winning because of it. Football's a little harder to tank because you need a lot of guys.
Yeah, I think in baseball, tanking means just not picking up big salaries and letting guys go.
Yeah,
and then restarting. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, and like the Astros lost 100 games 3 years in a row, and then they made draft picks like they signed Altuve, Bregman, and Springer, and they made a lot of really good draft picks, but they got in a position to have a crack at those players at the top of the draft.
How about our friend that we don't have anymore?
Bauer?
No.
Oh, Brantley.
Michael Brantley.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the same guy.
He is, yeah, and that's the one guy I keep thinking that if they'd have done nothing else but brought him back last year, I think it would have made a huge difference, especially in the first half of the year when they were really struggling scoring runs.
Well, him instead of Santana?
Well, I don't know that.
Or Santana would still be here as part of that.
Well, I mean, him and Santana. I mean, Brantley. I think the qualifying offer was like $17 million, and that's what they didn't want to do. But if they would have done it, then you've got, the whole lineup is deeper, and you got a professional hitter right in the middle of it with Brantley.
And it was easy to slough him off and say, well, he's got injury problems. We can't take the chance.
Yeah, except that he didn't the last year he was
right.
here. And plus he was the biggest leader in the clubhouse they had.
216-575-0403, Northeast Factory Direct, with 3 great locations, West 140th Street in Cleveland, the B&B Appliance, the old B&B Appliance in Lakeland Boulevard, that's in Euclid, and Freeway Drive in Macedonia. 3 huge bare-bone warehouses. They pay about 1/10 what other big box stores will pay for rent, and they pass the savings on to you. Check them out, northeastfactorydirect.com for more information. Sokolowski University, and they want you to know about the big clam bake coming up every Saturday in the month of October, and they'd like you to call to guarantee it. It's the 45th annual Sokolowski's University and Clam Bake, Saturdays in October, starting at 4, going till 9 p.m. Reservations at 216-771-9236. It includes chicken and hand-cut prime rib steak, or prime strip steak rather, a dozen clams, clam broth, New England clam chowder, baked candied yams, sweet corn, garlic toast, pumpkin or apple pie. Jim, you ready to go? It's not Saturday yet. We can't go.
We can go get in line.
We'll go get in line, no question about it. Mike and Bernie Sokolowski's University Inn. It's Cleveland's oldest family-owned and operated restaurant. We'll come back in a moment. More sports, and Les Levine continues with the Facebook question of the day. Jim Ingram with us on Cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
I had an epoxy-based sand paint on my floor that deteriorated, and that's why I called Nature Stone.
Why paint? It's expensive, it's ugly, and it doesn't last. Nature Stone is always affordable. It's beautiful, and with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of October and save up to half off. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downton Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downton Casino.
Time for Today in Sports History, October 7th, 1984. Walter Payton breaks Jim Brown's career rushing mark, 12,312 yards, and his career mark of 58 100-yard rushing games. This, however, in an editorial statement, Jim, this will never change the fact that Jim Brown was the greatest running back ever.
And if anyone doubts that, just call up some highlight reels and just watch.
Right.
You know, you don't even have to give them the stats.
Watch Marion Motley first, then go watch Jim Brown.
Yeah, and then tell me who runs like Jim Brown today.
Nobody.
I know, and ever since he left, I mean, a lot of great runners, but nobody did it like he did it.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody with that style. No question about that. Let's take a look at this date in Les Levine history. 1997, Jim, the manager of the grocery store where Les shops, asked him to get out of the express line, because he had at least 50 items in his cart. The manager was told the sign said 12 items or less, and Les said, "I'm less." Should allow me to get through. Yeah. I should have like a special pass to get me through the airport.
Yeah, it just says I'm less.
Exactly. We have the Facebook question of the day. We wanted to know who will be the standout performer for the Browns if they win tonight. Started off with Rick May. He says, "I think Myles Garrett will outshine Nick Bosa." Hope he does, and not just in the number of offsides penalties. Glenn Berger says Baker Mayfield. Gerard Morelli Doesn't get, well, he says same thing, better be Mayfield. Dennis Davis says Nick Chubb's going to have a big game. And Eric Eglin says Antonio Callaway. Speaking of Antonio Callaway, let's take a look at what Antonio Callaway could bring to this offense tonight as they get ready. There you see Callaway and Rashard Higgins, who's expected to play also. This is last year. Callaway had 79 targets, Higgins 53. These are 4 games without these guys this year. You can see how tough that is. Touchdowns 5 for Callaway and 4 for Higgins. And I think there's a comfort zone with Higgins and Baker Mayfield.
Seemed like it, yeah. That was noticeable last year. And Callaway can really stretch the defense too, you know, probably as much as anybody they have.
Right. Explore your interests and find a program at Tri-C that puts you on the path to a bright future. You can do that at Tri-C, which offers more than 1,000 courses and over 140 career and technical programs. Go to tri-c.edu for more information. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Northfield Park, your home for live and simulcast racing. They've got the live racing starting at 6 o'clock on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, then Saturday and Sunday. 6:40 the opening time for the races to begin, but they're open early every day for simulcast action all over the world. Special promotions coming up. $125,000 Courageous Lady Stakes. That's Saturday, October 12th, this Saturday, and much, much more. Check them out at Northfield Park, where it's free admission, free parking every day. When we come back, we'll take a look at some of your How Come Quickies. See, Jim, you get to grade some. I don't know if you remember that.
I brought my red pencil.
All right, red pencil. I got a black Sharpie, so we'll do that when we get back. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on Cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
There was moisture in the basement. It ruined the carpeting. The smell was terrible. We didn't feel safe in our own basement, and that's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of October and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, Andy Baskin of 92.3 The Fan will join us. We'll make a switch up this week. D-Man Dennis Maniloff will join us on Wednesday, and I'll be off that day, and Dave Bacon will host it with the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, and then Bud Shaw joins me on Thursday. We do this show live from 6 until 7, and it's archived the rest of the 23 hours. You can check us out at cleveland.com. All right, Jim, we got some How Come Quickies sent in.
Okay.
Are you at your judging best here?
I hope so.
Peggy Mayer says, how come flea markets never sell any fleas? It's like a garage sale. I've never seen anybody buy a garage.
Yeah, because if you think about it, where else would you go for fleas?
You would think
to the
a flea market.
Yeah.
Get a handful. Big Ed. How come when I went to the psychiatrist and told him nobody listens to me, he said, next? That was too easy. We saw that one coming.
I heard that from Rodney Dangerfield, I think.
In his early days.
Yeah.
How come when I told Grandpa it was great that he's over 80 and still doesn't need glasses, he said, yep, I drink right out of the bottle. Doesn't need glasses.
But seriously, folks.
But seriously. Mitch in Kent. How come nostalgia isn't what it used to be?
I like that one.
How come he wants to know if it's okay to put mittens in the glove box? I think so.
Yeah. I think
think
the
so.
earlier models had mitten boxes, and they changed it.
How come Robin said the Batmobile won't start, and Batman said, did you check the battery? Robin said, what's a Turi? See, he's trying to get the bat in every sentence that he can.
Yeah, that's a little too
you
deep
gotta-
for me. Yeah.
It's too much thought involved on that one. All right, let's see. John Patrick has a bunch coming up. How come if I keep learning from my mistakes, pretty soon I'll be a genius? Makes a
Not
lot of
bad.
mistakes.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just suggesting you're going to like this. I don't want to put pressure on you.
All right.
How come I spilled spot remover on my dog and now I can't find him? His name was Spot. I guess you wouldn't be able to find him.
It's his fault for naming his dog Spot.
Right. If it was
You got no rover remover.
So that one you like, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
well,
my
you wait.
kinda
We
humor
waited
there.
till the end.
Yeah.
If you didn't like that, I was just going to have to bring some more up here. All right, I got a couple of minutes here just to recap, summarize, and go over and over what we went over and over before. Browns take on the 49ers tonight.
Yeah.
Then they come back home, have a game with Seattle, who's better than I thought they were going to be, by the way.
Yeah.
And then then the bye week, and then Bill Belichick and company.
Yeah, you want to definitely have some wins in your pocket before you face that team.
Yeah, you're playing with house money at that point.
Yeah, yeah. But I do think that the every Browns game is just whether they win or lose. It's watchable. It's interesting to watch because significant things are happening. As you know, as much as anybody, the last 5-6 years, you watch the games and it was just like, you know,
Something would always happen, though.
yeah,
Miss field goal.
something bad. Yeah, yeah. The creativity of the losses was about all you had going, but there was nothing where you could say, well, that happened, so maybe that's something that'll help them in the future. And that never was any of that.
No, and you were talking. You said you'd like to have some wins in hand when they take on the Patriots, and it just seems to me it would be nice if you didn't have if that wasn't a must win because you can play looser. You can see how they stack up. You know, Belichick is not going to want to
Right.
give short shrift to this one. He'll probably be
Yeah.
undefeated at that point.
Yeah, you don't want to go into that one coming off 1 or 2 losses in a row. I remember one time I asked Chris James, the Indians outfielder, what's it like to face Nolan Ryan? He says, it means you better go 2 for 4 the day before.
Just to keep things
yeah,
going.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that'll be the ultimate test for them, of course, just to be measured against New England. But, you know, probably they'll lose that game, but they're still positioned pretty well right now because it looks like the Steelers are really struggling,
going
and
anywhere.
the Bengals are no factor whatsoever. And Baltimore, you know, they look like the second best team in the division, and the Browns beat them by 15 in their place. So
We had our Facebook question of the day: who needed to shine, or who did they think would shine tonight if the Browns are going to win? You got a choice to throw in there? The obvious is Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, the obvious. Nick Chubb, I think, is like still an underused weapon, and he seems to never get pushed backwards or fall backwards. He's always like moving the ball forward, and that run last week, it was like the 94-yard run last year. Remember where he just kind of pulled away from everybody, and you know he looks like he's got strength, power. He's powerful. He's got a lot of speed. He's got good vision. They can't give him the ball enough for me.
He won the line of scrimmage on that run, and nobody came close. And you know these defensive backs are supposed to be pretty fast guys.
Me, as crazy as it sounds, a little bit like some of the Jim Brown's runs where the defensive backs had an angle on him, and all of a sudden he was past them, and they misjudged his speed. But Chubb really, and I like the way he acts after he scores a touchdown too. He just drops the ball. Yeah, it's not like a big production number.
It'll be interesting when Kareem Hunt comes back, if he does, and I'm assuming he will, just to see. You know, Chubb doesn't want to have his touches taken away from him, but he's obviously going to say, all right, the season's half over or more than half over. It might be some help, but it's going to be an interesting battle to see who gets on the playing field more.
Yeah, I mean that's you know, there's probably you can either whichever guy is in there is Hunt was a former rushing champion, so either one of the guys can make long runs for touchdowns. So that's going to be the real test of keeping the cohesion here with when you get one more playmaker added to the bunch they already have.
Well, do you see them playing at the same time and taking away from the passing game, or do you see them just some kind of a rotation.
Yeah, you might be able to do that. I mean, just to give the defense another guy to worry about. Kareem can catch the ball out of the backfield too. I've seen so. Yeah, with those two in the backfield, whether it's just one at a time or two at a time, plus all the receivers they have, and by then Mayfield should have a pretty good chemistry with everybody on the offense, and that's when it could really take off.
We haven't mentioned another team that's doing fairly well, Ohio State. They look They look great.
They do, yeah. I mean, even guys that you aren't even being ballyhooed. You watch the game, and like that Teague guy, the fullback.
Master Teague.
Yeah, Master Teague. His parents knew something, don't you think, when they named him that?
I think so.
But I mean, you know, everywhere you look on the team, you see like these guys that just stand out and jump out at you. So this could be, you know, one of their really better teams.
Yeah, and one of the polls has them ranked 5th. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting when they play. I mean,
well, you got to play Wisconsin. You got to play Penn State. Those teams are right up there in the top 10.
Yeah, and if they win out, they should be for sure in the playoffs. And actually, it looks to me like Fields is like a good combination of he's as good a runner as Barrett and maybe as good a passer as Haskins.
Yeah, doesn't run unless he has to.
Yeah, and they're not calling plays where he's supposed to run, which I didn't really like.
And
that
speaking
approach.
of that, Ryan Day is there, and it's a seamless transition. You know, when you have changes like that, usually it doesn't go that smooth.
Mm-hmm.
But they've worked this to perfection at this point. It's early, but at this point, that's what it looks like.
And that's the argument for hiring from within, the guy that's already been here and knows the lay of the land and everything. But he seems like he's recruiting really well, too, which was Urban Meyer's real strength, I thought.
Going back to pro football, we were talking about Freddie Kitchens, that he's a rookie head coach. I mean, he coached half the year last year, but the difference between him and the other rookie coaches, he's got talent in place and expectations. Not many of these new coaches had expectations this year.
Yeah, usually when you're a rookie coach, you've got it. Teams like Hugh Jackson got, you know, those kinds of teams, and there's not much you can do with it. I mean, he's coming into a loaded offense with almost weapons everywhere. So, you know, it's good in that respect, but it also puts a lot more pressure on the coach to hit the ground running with this offense.
All right, that'll do it for us. Great job by Jim Ingram, as always. Andy Baskin will join me tomorrow. Dave Bacon will host on Wednesday with the D-Man Dennis Manoff. I'll be back on Thursday with Bud Shaw. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.